the statement of you could be obese and healthy at the same time because skinny people can be sick and very unhealthy is like saying you could be a drunk person and drive safely because many car accidents are caused by sober people. That's got to be the dumbest logic I've ever heard. You F.A. boneheads. So how is everyone today? Today's video is going to be a really interesting topic. I have not seen it discussed anywhere else. It's about a certain type of hypocrisy that the fat acceptance camp exhibits. We know all the time they get comments on their Instagrams and TikToks to the tune of, obesity is never healthy, you can't possibly be healthy, being fat is not healthy, you're not healthy, how can you think you're healthy? Just all sorts of stuff like that. And every time somebody posts something like that, usually, or at least many times, the influencer who's morbidly obese will say something like, I'm very healthy. You can't tell a person's health by their size. You can't tell a person's health by their looks. Weight does not determine health. Size is not an indicator of health. You don't know my history. You don't know my medical history. You're not my doctor. However, their followers will push back even nastier, saying all sorts of nasty things. But the bottom line is that many followers will come back with things like, you're not her doctor. Are you her doctor? Stuff like that. So they get very offended when somebody says morbid obesity or even moderate obesity is not healthy, being fat is not healthy, even when they're just speaking in generalities rather than directing the comment to that specific influencer. So the thing I want to talk about, though, is when the opposite occurs. Every so often, a follower will say something like, you look healthy. And the irony is that when somebody says, you look healthy, nobody ever questions that. Nobody ever says, how do you know she's healthy? Do you know her medical history? Are you her doctor? You can't judge a person's health by their size or by their weight. How do you know she's healthy? Weight, size is not indicative of health. How do you know she's healthy? How come there's never any pushback when they say they look healthy? And of course, needless to say, the influencer never challenges that. She never says, well, how do you know I'm healthy? You don't know my medical history. You don't know my blood test results. You don't know what my cholesterol is. You're not my doctor. Isn't that interesting? See, they cherry pick. Look at this comment right here. This comment, I found this comment on Mary Fran's Instagram page. Now, Mary Fran has many Instagram followers, but she has 1.1 million followers on TikTok, and she appears to be at least 100 pounds overweight, so she's morbidly obese. And I'm sure there are many comments like this on her TikTok, but you do look happy and healthy. How does this follower know she's healthy? She doesn't have access to her medical reports. She has no access to her blood work, no access to anything related to her health history or documentation. She's not her doctor, but she just says, you look healthy. And this is the picture she's referring to. I will bring it up just in a second here. All right, so that's the picture she's referring to. What about that picture made that follower say she looks healthy? What about that picture looks healthy? Now, if somebody said you look unhealthy because of your weight, there'd be a whole cascade of criticism about that. And Mary Fran herself would probably have a meltdown. No, people would challenge that. They would just be nasty about it. But when somebody says, you look healthy, nobody challenges it. And this is what really bugs me. The fat acceptance camp cherry picks, they're inconsistent, they're hypocritical. This woman not only doesn't look healthy, she's not healthy because she's morbidly obese. Now, I've also seen comments such as, "You look strong." Now, a morbidly obese person could be very strong. There are videos and pictures of morbidly obese women deadlifting, bench pressing, and back squatting impressive amounts of weight. That doesn't mean they're healthy, it just means they're strong. Of course, their bones, their muscles, and their joints are stronger from their weight training than if they didn't weight train. And everybody should strength train. Everybody, whether you're skinny, medium, fat, super fat. But many times these comments are just randomly thrown out there when there's no evidence that the influencer does any strength training at all. So if you say you look strong, but there's no muscle development, I mean, is it her belly that looks strong? So when somebody says that a morbidly obese influencer looks strong, yet it's not based on any video or picture of them lifting a lot of weight, you have to wonder, what's that based on and how come nobody challenges it? Obesity, particularly morbid obesity, is never a healthy state of body. Even if you're a competitive power lifter, of course, competitive powerlifting and all the training that goes into that makes you stronger, and it makes your musculoskeletal system a lot stronger and more durable and sturdy, and it gives you a stronger back than if you didn't lift any weights. But that doesn't mean lifting heavy weights is going to prevent sometime down the road a higher risk of high cholesterol. It's certainly not going to eliminate the possibility of type 2 diabetes and just the negative effects of morbid obesity on the organs, just putting all sorts of pressure on them. Morbid obesity also increases the chances, the risk of many cancers. And lifting heavy weights, deadlifting 350 pounds, does not nullify that risk. Obesity is an independent risk factor for all sorts of problems. That includes miscarriages, infertility, blood clots, obstructive sleep apnea. So it's great if you lift weights and you're very strong and keep on doing it, but don't think for a second that undoes 100 pounds of excess fat. The statement of you could be obese and healthy at the same time because skinny people can be sick and very unhealthy is like saying you could be a drunk person and drive safely because many car accidents are caused by sober people. That's stupid. That's got to be the dumbest logic I've ever heard. You F.A. boneheads. Never mind that there are thin people who are in poor health. They're in poor health because they smoke. Maybe they eat a lot of junk food. They don't exercise. Maybe they do cocaine or meth or something. Obesity, 100% of the time, especially morbid obesity, is a risk factor as well as a causative agent for a whole slew of medical problems and medical conditions, and that includes osteoarthritis or wearing down of the cartilage of the knees, back problems. There's just all sorts of illnesses that morbid obesity is a risk factor or a cause for. Morbid obesity is a look of death. It's a look of a very ill state of the body. And if you're young and you don't feel sick, well, it's going to catch up to you. It's this thing called gravity. It's coming for you. Well, gravity comes for everybody, I suppose, if we get old enough, but it comes quicker for morbidly obese people. So, in summary, I just find it really ironic that somebody says, you look healthy to a morbidly obese person. Nobody criticizes it. Nobody says, you're not her doctor. Nobody asks her, are you a doctor? But heaven forbid if somebody says, you look unhealthy. Then there's all this backlash. The fat acceptance crowd is a very hypocritical crowd. So that's my message for today. And as always, have a good day.